A few years ago, I moved to a new city, the outskirts of the city, to be more specific. It felt a lot more like a small town, with houses more spread out and things being really quiet and calm. The house I bought was small but nice. I knew nobody before moving there, and I wasn't exactly a social butterfly, so I just kept to myself most of the time. A few days after moving in though, a knock came at the front door. I was in the middle of unpacking still, so I got up and answered it. The man was a tall, older guy with black hair and a patchy medium beard. He introduced himself as Todd, a neighbor from a few doors down. He wanted to say hi and welcome me to the neighborhood. I appreciated the gesture, reciprocating the friendliness and continuing the small talk for a few minutes. He asked some basic questions just to get to know me. All the usual ones, like why I moved, where I moved from, and if I moved with anyone. In the context of being a new neighbor, these didn't seem like off-putting questions at all. He mentioned he lived with his wife, Sarah, and enjoyed the peace and quiet of the neighborhood. After our short talk, he left me to finish moving in. Todd seemed like a nice guy, just trying to be a decent neighbor. He was at least 20 or 30 years older than me, so I knew we wouldn't become good friends or anything, but it was nice to know someone friendly was around. The next few days, I settled in, taking walks around the neighborhood and just getting used to the new area. Oddly, it was hard not to notice that nobody was ever outside. Every time I looked around, or walked around, I never saw any neighbors on their porches or in their yards. The whole town felt hollow, empty in a way that made me feel out of place. Honestly, it was kinda depressing. But around 4 one afternoon, Todd came by again. He wanted to let me know that he and his wife were having a get-together with a bunch of the other neighbors for dinner that night at 7:30 at his place. He said it'd be a great opportunity for me to get to meet all the other nice people around here. I definitely wasn't expecting this invitation from everything I'd seen, or I guess from what I hadn't seen. I figured everyone just kept to themselves, like I usually did, but it seemed like this might be one of my only chances to get to meet people, so I accepted the offer. He said he looked forward to seeing me there, then left. I was excited, but mostly nervous about meeting a bunch of people. I knew it'd be good for me though. Come 7:30, I got ready and started walking over to his place. The whole neighborhood was dark and silent. Peaceful, but also a little strange feeling. Again, giving that hollow sense, like I was somehow all alone. As I got up to Todd's place, it looked the same. Inactive, and no cars or anything near his home. I headed up to the door. It was already cracked open, but I still knocked on it anyway. Todd immediately yelled from inside for me to come on in and make myself at home. His voice echoed through the halls, and it was real quiet in there. No other voices, or even sounds of movement. Not what I expected from a whole neighborhood get-together. I took a few steps in. His home had very moody lighting, making it dark and shadowy in all the rooms. I headed down to the kitchen where I heard Todd's voice come from, but when I got there, it was empty. He wasn't there. I called out his name, and then I called out his wife's name, and got no response from either. And then I noticed there was nothing even in the kitchen. No food on the table and no signs of any sort of get-together. And the realization set in that nobody else was here. Then, all of a sudden, I heard the front door slam shut. It startled me, and I quickly called out Todd's name again, only to still be met by the disturbing silence of his home. I walked back to the end of the hallway, confirming the front door was now shut. I felt the sense of imminent danger, of fear creeping into me that, up until that point in my life, I'd never felt before. I started hurrying up to the front door, and as I did, I heard a couple steps from somewhere in one of the rooms behind me. I didn't waste any time turning to look. I got up to the door. It was locked in 3 different places, which told me this definitely wasn't some sort of accident. As I undid all the locks, Todd called my name out and asked where I was going. I could hear him quickly approaching behind me, his voice getting deeper and less friendly with every word he spoke. I got the door open and sprinted back home. I debated calling the police, but ultimately decided I would, and let the officers figure out whether or not he had intentions. I'm glad I did, because a couple minutes after making it home, Todd showed up, banging on my door and peering into my windows from outside. He left before the officers made it though, but things only got even weirder from here. In the questioning from the cops, it turned out Todd had never planned any get-together with other neighbors, and didn't even have a wife, or live with anyone named Sarah. He lived there alone for over a decade. Basically, everything he told me was a lie. Just some fabricated story to get me to feel comfortable going over to his house. But unfortunately, nothing could be done about it, because there was no way to prove he was trying to do anything bad. Everyone, including the cops, knew it was all way too odd for him to be completely innocent. But it didn't matter. There was nothing they could do. I moved away from there as soon as possible. Every so often, I'll check up on that guy, looking up his name and hoping he'd been arrested or something, because I know if he isn't, he's just gonna find another victim to lure into his home. What he plans to do, or plan to do to me, I hope he can never follow through on.